Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Roofing Contractors Best of Success podcast show. I'm RC Editor in Chief, and I'm really happy to be joined today by Rachel Narveson, founder and CEO of Proficient Construction in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. Rachel, how are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Well,
Happy to
thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Rachel is the winner of QXO's 2025 North American Female Roofing Professional of the Year program. Congratulations, Rachel. Has it sunk in yet?
Not really, actually, because, this is our busy time of year. And I was just actually telling some of my employees that I'm like, it's been such a busy summer already that we haven't really got to formally celebrate it. So it hasn't yet, but I think it will hopefully on our off season. So.
Got it. Well, and I know recently you had a celebration that QXO was able to put together. Can you just tell us briefly about what that was like for you, your team, and your family?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. They had reached out to me the week when they announced the winner and just said, "Hey, we're going to do a special event for you up at our one of our main locations in Plymouth, Minnesota, with the team and our account manager." And so I wasn't really sure what to expect. So I walked in and there was about a lot of balloons and the entire staff was there to greet me, which was really cool. Because I didn't get to actually formally ever meet everybody that works for QXO, formerly Beacon, and we haven't really spent a lot of time in their facility, so it was really cool getting to see all the faces that make it happen behind the scenes. So it was really
Great.
cool.
Well, and it sounds like that's probably about to change. You might be more familiar with them. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
well, before we go any further, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into roofing.
Yeah, so I started out in construction when I was in high school. I work for a really small family ran business, and they specialized mostly in roofing, or excuse me, windows and siding, basement remodeling. And that's kind of how I got my kickstart into construction. I worked hand in hand with the marketing team doing trade shows, different events, working in their call center, scheduling appointments. And the cool thing about that is you're constantly talking with customers and understanding what type of projects that they're really focusing in, how customers make their decision making process. And I just really fell in love with connecting with homeowners. And so after that position, I actually just took a job. When I got into college, I wanted to be close to the college so I could go to work after school. And I found a roofing company to work for. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it out. And I really loved the process because it was such a different side of construction. I work for a storm damage restoration company. So totally different way of selling, right? So, and finding your customers. And I just really loved the challenges that especially with storm damage restoration. I just love that process. So worked in various roles. I was a project manager, been an admin, I've worked in marketing, just various different roles. I've ran crews before. And, working in all of these different organizations, I was a subcontractor in 2013 and then became a general contractor in 2019. But what I noticed working for, and I'm happy I did this, is kind of get an idea of different organizations within construction industry so that I could understand when I start my own construction, what are the pieces I want to take and what are the pieces I don't want to take. So it was cool getting my feet wet and just working for different companies, and that's kind of how we got started with our company.
So, Rachel, it sounds like you got some valuable experience and some insight early on into that customer experience and to what they're looking for and how perhaps their needs, might be changing a little bit. Did that help you prepare yourself? And was the plan always to kind of venture out on your own?
Not necessarily. I think, when you're I just have a strong idea of like the customer experience end to end. And, when you're not seeing it in organizations, some organizations are really driven by numbers. Some are really driven by, different elements that I'm like, I didn't want it to be quantity based. I wanted it to be quality based. And so knowing that, I said, you know what? I just think there's an opportunity here, being able to have a relationship based company. I mean, a lot of these projects, whether it's remodeling or roofing, we're spending a lot of time at these people's homes, right? And so there's an opportunity to develop relationships and be able to grow those strong relationships so we get referrals. And that's really what we did. I didn't always have a plan to have my own construction company, but when I seen that there was such a disconnect, especially for customer service. I mean, a lot of contractors are super busy and they don't have the best communication. And so I wanted to be very heavy on communication with our customers. And that's why we get so many referrals and we've had such good reviews. Right now we have 5-star Google reviews. I think we're at 100 and some. And so I'm really big on that customer experience.
Got it. Well, you may have already addressed this, but I was going to ask, you're in the Twin Cities area,
Yep.
very
Yep.
robust roofing market, a lot of potential there. What are some of the biggest challenges in your market and how are you trying to address them?
I think that they're in general, when you're in the category of roofing, you get put in that category of a storm chaser and it just gets thrown around so much. And I think what we try to do is we try to approach the market differently. Yes, we will 100% knock on the neighbors' doors, but we always want to have like the relationship in the neighborhood first. So if we get called to a neighborhood, we find damage, we always want to ask for referrals, ask them about their neighbors. We do knock on the neighbors' doors, but more of as a helpful, informative way where we're like, hey, here's the damage we found. Here's what we're seeing in the neighborhood. Let's give you a free assessment, just to see what you have going on with your home. And I think being able to have that approach, whereas a lot of these other roofing companies, they just come in blindly. They look at a storm mat, they run right into the storm, and they just walk into a neighborhood and they just try to knock on as many doors as possible. That was my background, and I'm really big on, I think there is a need for, boots on the ground and be able to be more of that out in the field type of sales role. But at the same time, I think customers like to have they like to have a little bit more control of their contractors, right? Anyone that comes to their door, they're a little suspicious of them. So we try to educate our clientele by really showing them, here are some references, here is what we're really good at, here is, giving them information. And also, one of the bigger challenges that I'm seeing too is that contractors are, they're okay with people replacing the roofs every 5 years. I think that we need to also have some skin in the game as contractors and put the best products forward. So at Proficient Construction, we only put on class 4 shingles, no upcharge to the homeowner. It would be same as a class 3. And we're doing that because it's a better quality product. And we don't want to keep seeing these homeowners having to replace their roofs every 4 years. So that's what we have done, just to kind of change things up, because those are some big challenges. People are sick of these storms and having to call in claims every couple of years. And then obviously now we've all seen in the industry what it's done with the impact of, your insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Every other day I'm getting a call from a customer who's like, my insurance went up 60% after getting our roof replaced. What can we do? So I think just being mindful of that the industry is changing, and insurance carriers are changing the way that they're putting out their policies, and we just have to adapt and we have to put better products out there.
Well, and what you mentioned might be music to the folks at QXO and other suppliers. I'm curious, turning to this award, when did you first hear about this opportunity and why did you want to get involved?
Well, actually, my team had an email going around and said, "Hey, we should nominate Rachel," and I think that's really cool. My team is amazing. I feel like I've handpicked some of the best individuals in the industry in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and the thing that I try to do as a leader is I don't try to just sit behind the scenes and coordinate things and tell them where to go or what to do. I try to be out in the field with them hand in hand. And I think you don't see that, especially the bigger companies get. You tend to see that owners kind of take a back seat. And I feel like the more we've grown, the more I'm trying to be more out with my team and developing them. So I think the reason why they chose to nominate me for this award is that they see the passion that I have every day. They see the mission. They see how I'm constantly trying to help our team get better and hit their goals, financially or career paths. And I'm just alongside with them. And I know that's probably why they nominated me. And it was really cool that I was selected. So.
Yeah, that's got to be a great feeling. So was much of this nomination process, and because there is a public vote aspect to this, was that mostly a surprise to you, or did you have to get involved in that campaign?
Well, it was a surprise to me because some of the other women in the category I was just blown away by their stories. Actually, every single one that I read, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Every single woman across the United States and Canada, they just had awesome stories. Everyone had, whether they were an owner or an operations manager, just different ways that they're making an impact with females in the roofing industry was really cool. So to answer your question, it was a little challenging. I mean, you have to, the one thing that they don't tell you as being an entrepreneur and a business owner is that awkwardness of having to self promote, right? And that's always been kind of a challenge for me because that's just not who I am naturally. But because I'm part of a lot of different organizations, different networking groups, I kind of had a good solid group of people who really believed in Proficient Construction. We tapped into our customer base, some of the women organizations that I'm a part of, and everyone sees my passion. So I think it was just kind of one of those things where it was easy to reach out and ask for those votes, and it worked out. So.
Well, and so what was your reaction to winning? Did you actually remember when and how you got that news?
Well, it's funny because, and I joke about this. So, for the longest time, I've had my cell phone, my original phone number that I've had for years as our company line. And I just recently got a personal number. So at the time they were trying to get a hold of me and I didn't know that I had won. And they actually reached out to Ben, who is on my team. He's one of my project managers was one of the people who nominated me and was like, hey, so we're trying to get a hold of Rachel. So is there any way you can reach out to her and say that we're trying to get a hold of her because we want to announce something special. So I actually found out through him and I was very shocked and obviously very, very humbled and honored. And it was a really cool experience. So.
We got it. Well, having been in the game, for a while, can you talk a little bit about how you build relationships with your key suppliers and how are they helping you achieve your goals now? I imagine that role has kind of changed in recent years.
Yes, it has. And more recently, specifically, I would say with on the roofing side. So Proficient Construction, we're full service. So we don't just do roofing, we do interior, exterior, commercial, residential, everything. So our relationship with our suppliers goes a lot deeper. We're very selective just because we have such a wide variety of products that we need. And we're very selective of what products we're using. Before, when I started out in construction, it was the reps that were telling you, here are the products that you should push. And now, being in the industry for a while, now I'm coming to the table and saying, hey, if you want to do business with us, these are the products that we're really passionate about. And they've been able to come to the table and stock those products for us. More specifically, we're a premium contractor with Malarkey, and that was one product with QXO. They do a lot of work with them, but not as much as some of the other competitors, suppliers. And so we came to the table with them, and we really wanted to figure out a way that we could get more product on ground. And they've been great. QXO has came to the table and has helped us get to where we want to get. Especially we're doing a lot more commercial multifamily projects that we do need that quantity. So it's been great, like building a relationship with your supplier. As much as newer contractors may not know this, but if you have a good relationship with them, the customer service is so much better. Being able to get the products that are needed for your customers, it goes so much more smoothly. So it is so important to have good relationships and having those discussions up front. That way everyone's on the same page and there's no surprises down the road.
That's great. Rachel, you also mentioned you're involved in some professional associations and organizations. Are there any that you particularly want to mention and that really have helped propel you along this pathway in your career?
Yeah, so I've been a member with the National Women in Roofing for a while. It's always hard because not some of the busier times when we're having events and stuff, I'm not always able to participate, but there's a lot of women groups on Facebook. There's Women in Construction, Harness and Heels. There's National Women in Roofing. Those are all three really great categories, specifically more for, the roofing side of things. I think what's really cool is if there is anyone that is listening and wants to become a business owner, one of the things that helped me earlier on in my career was WeMen, which is Women Entrepreneurs of Minnesota. And I know that they have one probably in almost every state, but it's for women who are new business owners, entrepreneurs, anyone that is like starting a startup business. And it's such a good group of women because we all come to the table with different walks of life and we're all in different industries, and hearing other people's perspectives and challenges that you can be relatable to and help your company grow has been really cool. Another organization that I'm a part of is Master Networks. It's kind of like a BNI, but more specific around education for business owners and the challenges that we face as leaders. And that has been a really cool group to be a part of, just for more of an educational standpoint for myself. So.
Got it. And are you, other than NWIR, are you primarily the only roofer when you're in the room with these other, female professionals in that group? And what is that like?
Yeah. So obviously National Women Roofing, there's walks of, all different roles, right? There's only, I would say, a handful of women actual owners, but in the other categories, typically I am the contractor typically. It's just not a category, obviously, that women are usually a part of. Usually we're dealing with like realtors and insurance brokers or, those different categories where I see more women in. But yeah, it's usually I'm usually one of the very few women that are in those categories, but I'm starting to see more women getting into the trades, and I think that's so super cool. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any ideas or thoughts about how do we get more women on the roof, or even perhaps yourself when you're looking to recruit. How do you go after that segment, because that is an important part and perhaps solution to our workforce issue.
Yeah, so we tend to gravitate and sponsor, like one of the things that we always sponsor is like more like dance clinics and cheerleading and stuff, like where younger girls are, and kind of promote women in roofing and women in construction, just to kind of get those ideas going in young individual women's heads, because I think the biggest thing is education earlier on. even when I was growing up, I don't even think I took wood shop. Right. Like I was just telling my mom this. I'm like, I think I was in sewing and all this other things, but I'm like, I don't even think I took wood shop. But I think just getting that education earlier on, like in high school and in your few years of college, just educating them about the different careers in construction. One thing that we do is there's a few universities here locally in the Twin Cities, and I will quarterly go in and talk with the undecided groups. There's it's cool. A lot of colleges have like entrepreneurship as like an actual class, which I think is interesting. And they'll have every week they'll have someone come in and talk about a different career path. And so that's what I've been doing. It's just getting in front of young adults and young individuals. And it's interesting because in the trades, the entry level positions pay sometimes more than a 4-year college degree. And some of these trade schools, you're there for a year, and some you don't even take a trade school. Maybe you just do like a course or two, right? So I think it's educating young adults and specifically young females that it's not about like your stereotypical hard hat, getting on the roof or doing something physical. There's so many different things you can do in construction, not just the labor aspect. But I do see women on the labor side. Women like to work with their hands. They're good communicators. We're problem solvers naturally. So women who go into the trades are usually very successful.
What's next for you and your company?
Yeah. So what's next for us is we're trying to diversify a little bit. I think, naturally when you hear roofing companies, they're either in commercial or they're in storm. I am trying to diversify. So we're actually getting into a lot more commercial projects. One of our biggest clients is the state of Minnesota and the state of Wisconsin. We're a target corporation contractor now. We're going to be doing our first flat roof project in Plymouth, actually, coming up here at the end of August. And so just really diversifying our company and finding other ways to grow in different categories other than just storm damage restoration. I think that's a great industry to be in, but it's changing and it's really there's a lot of uncertainties in that category. But yeah, that's kind of where we're focusing, is mostly our commercial space right now. So.
Well, fantastic, and best of luck there. Thank you so much for sharing your story and some insights today.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you and Proficient?
I'm totally fine with people reaching out to me on Facebook, connecting with me there, or on LinkedIn. More if you wanted to connect with me personally. If you wanted to connect with our business, Facebook, also our Facebook page, our handle is at ProficientMN, and same with our Instagram account. But yeah, just connect with us. Even on our website, it's proficientmn.com. So love to connect with everyone.
Before you head there, be sure to head back to roofingcontractor.com and sign up for our free e-magazine and our e-newsletters so that you can stay on top of the latest news and information impacting the industry. Thanks again, Rachel. Stay safe, and we'll see you all next time.